Hello, everyone in social media land and Facebook Live. Hello, guys. Andy Schultz here from Worcester Productions, and welcome to night 2 of our triple double feature. Yay! Thank you guys for joining us. Yeah, we're doing our second night. First of all, folks, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. It means so much to have you guys here, and we are so excited to have you. We have some fun stuff planned. Tonight, we will be doing Trials and Tribbleations from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Many people consider it to be the unofficial quasi-sequel to Tribble Trials, though that is not entirely accurate because the animated series actually had a sequel to it. So, cool. But folks, thank you again. So for those of you who saw last night, last night was our night 1, and we did the Tribbles. And we had a lot of fun. The audience was amazing. Thank you guys so much for the love. And we had such a great time. We're going to be doing it again tonight. We're doing the second one. And the way the night kind of works is this way. This is a live stage reading or Zoom reading of the script. So they're not doing traditional acting. There's no real props or anything like that. There are a couple surprises. And we just have a lot of fun with it. And you guys are going to hear some sound effects, mainly this one, which I'm going to play for you guys right now, which is the famous transporter sound effect from the original series. And we use that a couple times to signify scene shifts throughout the script. And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys. We will have a big shout out and thank you to everybody who's involved. We have the Geek Authority here. We have Illusion Alchemy. We got Professor W's Video Game Lab. We have also a special treat from Cinema Cocktails, which anybody who's familiar with both Tribbles and Trials and Tribbleations, there's a famous bar fight scene in the episode. And in lieu of having everybody fighting on Zoom, we are going to have a special drink made for you guys called a Fuzzy Tribble. And stay tuned, folks, afterwards, because we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to also do a live Q&A with the cast and crew afterwards, and just have a good, fun night. This is Star Trek. We're geeking out. Yesterday was theater. Was it theater day? And it was also this week, if you guys weren't aware or part of our geekdom, it was both William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy's birthdays. Shatner turned 90, and if the great Leonard Nimoy was still with us, he would have also been 90 this year. So, folks, let's have some fun. And here is Trials and Tribbleations. Thank you.
Welcome to Deep Space Nine. I'm Major Kira.
I'm Dulmer.
Luxley, Department of Temporal Investigations.
We've been expecting you.
I guess you boys from Temporal Investigations are always on time.
Where's Captain Sisko?
Are you sure you don't want anything?
Just the truth, Captain.
You'll get it. And where do you want me to start?
The beginning.
If there is such a thing.
Captain, why did you take the Defiant back in time?
It was an accident.
So you're not contending that it was a predestination paradox?
A time loop. That you were meant to go back into the past?
No.
Good.
We hate those. So, what happened?
This may take some time.
Is that a joke?
No.
Good.
We hate those too. All right, Captain, whenever you're ready.
2 weeks ago, the Cardassian government contacted me and wanted to return an orb to the Bajorans.
Orb?
They're devices of alien origin that are considered sacred objects by the Bajoran people.
Each has a unique property. Like the Orb of Prophecy or the Orb of Wisdom, the one we received from the Cardassian was the Orb of Time, although we didn't know that at first. When the Defiant arrived at Cardassian Prime, we weren't sure if we were dealing with the genuine orb or one of the fakes that had cropped up over the years. I had it secured in one of the crew quarters so we could bring it back to Bajor for authentication. But before we left Cardassia, we took on a passenger.
Humans! I never thought I'd see another normal face again.
This is Mr. Waddle.
Barry, call me Barry.
We are taking him back to the Federation. He was trapped on Cardassia when the Klingons attacked.
I'm a merchant. I deal in gemstones, kivas, and trillium mostly. Oh, can I?
Help yourself.
You know what Cardassians drink in the morning? Fish juice. Hot fish juice. Ractogino. After 6 months, I was hoping the Klingons would invade. At least they know how to make coffee, even if they are foul-smelling barbarians. Oh, sorry.
I wouldn't take it personally, Worf.
I rather like the way you smell.
Yeah, sort of earthy, peaty aroma.
With a touch of lilac.
With the Defiant undercloak, we left Cardassian space and managed to avoid being detected by the Klingons. We were halfway home, and I was just starting to breathe easy.
Trust me, next time you see him, just sniff the air and go, is that lilac?
Find someone else. I have my own ways of torturing Worf.
But don't look at me.
I'm picking up a surge in chronotron radiation around.
What happened?
I don't know, but we've dropped out of warp.
Sensors are back online.
Benjamin, something's very wrong. According to the navigational computer, we're over 200 light years from our last position.
We're decloaking.
Oh, someone's activated the transporter.
We'll deactivate it and get us back on the cloak.
I'm picking up another ship dead ahead.
Well, can you identify it?
Not yet, but it's close, very close.
Well, Chief, I need that view screen.
I think I've got it.
That's...
The Enterprise.
Be specific, Captain. Which Enterprise? There have been 5.
6.
This was the first Enterprise. Constitution class.
His ship.
Oh, James T. Kirk.
The one and only.
17 separate temporal violations. Biggest file on record.
The man was a menace. What was the date of your arrival?
Stardate 4523.7.
100 years, 5 days, 1 month, and 12 days ago. 5 years, 1 month, and 12 days ago.
Oh, it's Friday.
What was the Enterprise doing?
She was orbiting one of the old deep space stations, K7, near the Klingon border. Security reported that just before we were thrown back in time, someone stunned the deputy who was guarding the orb and broke into the cabin. It didn't take us long to realize who it was.
His real name is Darvin. He is a Klingon altered to look human.
A surgeon does nice work.
We're assuming that he came aboard the Defiant for the express purpose of gaining access to the orb.
Any idea why he brought us back to this point in time?
We have a theory. This is Darvin as he appeared during that time period. At this moment, he is aboard Space Station K7, posing as a Federation official.
So you're saying he's a spy?
The younger Darvin's mission was to derail Federation colonization efforts by poisoning the shipment of grain, which is being stored aboard the station. However, 18 hours from now, James Kirk will expose him and he will be arrested.
That arrest will end his career. Klingon intelligence will turn their back on him and he will become an outcast.
From what we've been able to piece together, he spent the next 100 years eking out a meager living, posing as a human merchant. Then, in a final indignity, he was trapped on Cardassian space by the Klingon invasion.
Until he heard rumors about an orb capable of taking him back in time.
So what's he planning to do? Contact his younger self and warn himself about Kirk?
He could be planning to kill Kirk.
Well, the bottom line is we have to find Darvin and stop him before he has a chance to alter history. Do we know where he beamed to?
No, he wiped the transporter logs when he beamed himself out.
So he could be on the Enterprise or the station.
So we'll have to search, both without arising suspicion or altering the timeline ourselves. The last thing I want is a visit from temporal investigations when we get back home.
I suppose we ought to find a way to blend in. Captain.
Lieutenant, actually. I didn't want to push myself.
Looks good on you, sir.
Well, thank you, Ensign.
Wait a minute. Aren't you two wearing the wrong color?
Don't you know anything about this point in time?
I'm a doctor, not a historian.
Well, in the old days, operation officers wore red, commander officers wore gold.
And women wore less.
I think I'm going to like history.
The original Enterprise used an old-style duotronic sensor array. If we wait for just the right point in the scan cycle, we can decloak the Defiant for almost 3 seconds without being detected.
Well, is that enough time? Is that enough time to transport us aboard?
Barely.
Chief, here are the coordinates. The captain and I will start on deck 4 and work our way aft. You and Julian should start on deck 21.
And work our way forward.
Well, what about the station?
Little of it is habitable. Most of K7 consists of storage areas and industrial fabrication facilities.
It shouldn't take too long to search. Security isn't as tight as it is on a starship.
Well, remember, try to avoid contact with people of this time period.
We're coming up on a bench in the scan cycle.
Dax.
Ready?
Deck 21. Deck 21. I said deck 21.
Maybe if you said please.
What's wrong with this thing?
Don't look at me. I don't know anything about this time period.
Maybe it's jammed. Help me get this wall panel off.
Deck 15?
I won't tell anyone if you don't.
Wow, they really packed them in, these old ships.
What about over there?
Perfect. An auxiliary communications juncture.
I'll pretend to do repairs. You scan for Darwin.
Oh, I used to have one of these. I love the classic 23rd century design, black finish, silver highlights.
Dax.
Sorry.
I don't want any more spike and flame gems. Thanks to you, I already have enough spike and flame gems to last me a lifetime.
How sad for you, my friend. You won't find a better stone anywhere.
What's your pleasure?
I'll have a Raktajino.
You're the second person today who's ordered that. What is it?
It's Klingon coffee. But the second person. Who was the first?
An older man, a human.
Where is he now?
I don't know. He left about an hour ago. I think he said he'd be back. We don't have any Klingon beverages. Would you like something else?
Tarkalian tea.
Okay.
I have something from the far reaches of the galaxy. Surely you want one of these.
Not at your price.
Ooh, what is it? Is it alive? May I hold it? Oh, it's adorable. What is it?
Chief, you're supposed to be working.
I'm afraid to touch anything. It's all cross-circuited and patched together. I can't make heads nor tails of it.
Sounds like one of your repair jobs. Well, there's no sign of Darwin in this section. I'm going to widen the scan radius, if I can figure out how.
I'll keep the scan field below 20 milliwatts. Otherwise, you'll set off the internal sensors.
Thank you, Chief. I was listening during the mission briefing.
What are you two doing here? Scotty told me to do this.
Oh, you were going to do this.
It's on the duty roster.
Must have been some mix-up.
Isn't that a medical tricorder?
Yes, it is. I'm a doctor.
Why do we need a doctor to repair a power relay?
You don't, obviously. No, I'm doing a study. It has to do with work-related stress.
Oh.
Why don't you two go on? Pretend I'm not here.
So, where should we start?
Well, obviously, the first thing we should do is take this translator here and leave it exactly as it is.
The job pressure's been getting to him. Why don't you take over? All right, Ensign. I think I've seen enough. Let's get you back to sick bay.
Oh, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't mention this to anyone.
No problem. Hope you feel better.
I have completed my search of the primary habitat levels. And what is that sound?
Soothing, isn't it? The bartender called it a
Tribble.
sit down. You're drawing attention.
Where did you get that thing?
From a man named Cyrano Jones. Tell me the Tribbles like everyone, but this one doesn't seem to like you.
The feelings mutual. They are detestable creatures.
Interesting. It's been my observation that most humanoids love soft, furry animals, especially if they make a pleasing sound.
But they do nothing but consume and breed. If you feed that thing more than the smallest morsel, in a few hours you'll have 10 tribbles, then 100, then 1,000.
Calm down.
They were once considered mortal enemies of the Klingon Empire.
This, a mortal enemy of the Empire?
They were an ecological menace, a plague to be wiped out.
Wiped out? What are you saying?
Hundreds of warriors were sent to track them down throughout the galaxy. An armada obliterated the Tribbles' homeworld. By the end of the 23rd century, they had been eradicated.
Another glorious chapter of Klingon history. Tell me, do they still sing songs of the great Tribble hunt?
What should we do? It's red alert.
Get to battle stations. Deck 7. All right, let's see if we can find out what's going on. Cisco to Defiant. Cisco to Defiant.
Defiant here.
Report.
A Klingon D7 battlecruiser just dropped out of warp. It's approaching the station.
Have they locked weapons?
Not yet.
Kira, can you identify the Klingon vessel?
The IKS Groth.
That's Koloth's ship.
Curzon's old friend?
Yes, and he isn't going to attack. I remember Koloth telling me that he once traded insults with Kirk on a space station near the Federation border. He always regretted never getting the chance to face him in battle.
The Klingon ship just transported 2 people.
That's Koloth. Maybe we should, beam over to the station and help Odo and Worf. We know that Darwin was there a few hours ago.
I think it might be better if Chief O'Brien or Dr. Bashir go.
But if we went, we might run into Koloth.
Exactly.
It's not like he would recognize me. I'd love to see him in his prime and...
Dax. Major, beam the chief and the doctor to K7 and fill them in.
Aye, sir.
It would have been fun.
Too much fun. Dax was right about the Klingons. They were only interested in shore leave, and Captain Kirk allowed them to beam aboard the station in small groups. When the Enterprise stood down from Red Alert, we all resumed our search for Darwin.
The next band shift in the Enterprise scan cycle will be in 3 minutes.
We'll be ready, Major. O'Brien out.
We should find a turbo lift.
Oh, hello again.
Hello.
Deck 10.
Your flaps open.
Excuse me?
On your tricorder, you're draining power.
Oh, thank you.
He's always doing that.
You're a doctor?
Yes.
I just transferred here from Lexington last week.
Welcome aboard.
I'm coming into sick bay tomorrow for my physical. 1500, Lieutenant Watley?
You realize, of course, she was just using you to get.
Watley. That was my great-grandmother's name.
Funny.
I think she was in Starfleet.
It's a common enough name.
But what if that was her?
Do you realize the odds?
No one ever met my great-grandfather. This could be a predestination paradox. Come on, Chief. Surely you took elementary temporal mechanics at the Academy. I could be destined to fall in love with that woman and become my own great-grandfather.
You're being ridiculous.
Ridiculous? If I don't meet with her tomorrow, I may never be born.
Chief, are you ready for transport?
Are we ever?
Stand by.
You saw the way she looked at me. You can't just dismiss this.
You try.
All right, fine. But I can't wait to get back to Deep Space Nine and see your face when you find out that I never existed.
Dax and I resumed our search for Darwin.
Benjamin, look.
Bridge to Captain Kirk.
Kirk here.
Mr. Barris is waiting on Channel E to speak to you, sir.
Keep working. We are a maintenance crew just doing our job.
Mr. Barris is coming on.
Yes, Mr. Barris. What can I do for you?
Kirk, this station is swarming with Klingons.
I was not aware, Mr. Barris, that 12 Klingons constitutes a swarm.
Captain Kirk, I consider your security measures a disgrace. In my opinion, you have taken this entire mission way too seriously.
I had no idea.
What?
He's so much more handsome in person. I mean, those eyes.
Kirk had quite the reputation as a ladies' man.
Not him. Spock.
Free and complete access to this station. To that man who just walked out of here.
Hey, let's go.
Mr. Barris, I have guards around the grain. I have guards around the Klingons.
I can't believe you don't at least want to meet Captain Kirk.
That's the last thing on my mind.
Oh, come on, Benjamin. Are you telling me you're not the tiniest bit interested in meeting one of the most famous men in Starfleet history?
We have a job to do.
But it's James Kirk.
Look, of course I want to meet him. I'd like to shake his hand and ask him about fighting the Gorn on Celtics 3. But that's not what we're here, old man.
You're right. I guess the difference between you and me is I remember this time. I lived in this time, and it's hard not to want to be a part of it again.
Clearly, we've been going about this search business all wrong, Chief.
You're right. Why bother searching 30 decks when you can just plonk yourself down at a bar and wait for Darwin to come to you?
We have reason to believe that he'll return to this area.
Ah, yes, the Ratkajino.
A vital clue that others might have missed. How fortunate it is that it has kept you stuck at this bar for the past 3 hours, having drinks while we've been crawling through conduits.
Oh my God, that's him.
Who?
Kirk.
Where?
On the left, in the gold. Just sitting down.
That's Kirk?
It would be an honor to meet him.
Let's buy him a drink.
Gentlemen, no one's buying anyone a drink.
He's right. We can't risk altering the timeline.
What'll it be, boys? And don't ask for Raktagino. If I have to say we don't carry that one more time.
Who ordered Raktagino?
The Klingons.
Klingons.
Over there. And over there.
Those are Klingons?
All right. You boys have had enough.
Mr. Worf?
They are Klingons, and it is a long story.
Well, what happened? Some kind of genetic engineering?
A viral mutation?
We do not discuss it with outsiders.
Delusions of godhood.
Take it easy, lad. Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
That's right. And if I think Kirk is a Denebian slime devil, well, that's my opinion too.
Don't do it, mister. That's an order.
You heard what he called the captain.
Look at the way Kirk is ignoring that Klingon. He's letting that security officer handle it.
Chief, are you sure that's Kirk?
Absolutely.
Why is he wearing lieutenant's stripes?
I think we have bigger problems than a case of mistaken identity.
Garbage, Scal. Half the quadrant knows it. That's why they're learning to speak Klingonese.
The Spocks!
Laddie, don't you think you should rephrase that?
You're right, I should. I didn't mean to say that the Enterprise should be hauling garbage. I meant to say that it should be hauled away as garbage.
What are you doing? Starvin.
Good evening. I am Mr. Spock. As a Vulcan scientist, I have taken it upon myself to learn of Earth's customs, one of them being the practice of mixology, or the mixing of spirits and liquors to concoct what you humans refer to as a cocktail. In celebration of tonight's festivities, I will be demonstrating how to make a variation of the fuzzy navel, which I have dubbed the fuzzy tribble. Simply start by filling a tall glass or tumbler with ice. Take 1 ounce of your favorite vodka. Add 1 ounce of peach schnapps. Add 4 ounces of orange juice. Then add 4 ounces of Sprite or your favorite lemon lime soda. A fuzzy tribble. You can also make a virgin variation of this drink by simply excluding the vodka and peach schnapps. A virgin is a creature that has not engaged in sexual activity. Thank you. Live long and prosper.
Your men could have avoided that fight, Captain.
Regulation 157, Section 3, Paragraph 18. Starfleet officers shall take all necessary precautions to minimize any participation in historic events.
All right. It was a mistake, but there were no lasting repercussions.
How do you know that? For all we know, we could be living in an alternate timeline right now.
If my people had caused any changes in the timeline, we would have been the first to notice it when we got back.
Why do they always say that?
So, your men were arrested.
That's right. But instead of being taken to the brig, they were brought in for questioning.
I want to know who started it. I'm waiting. Who started the fight?
I don't know, sir.
All right. Chekhov. I know you. You started it, didn't you?
No, sir, I didn't.
Well, who did?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know, sir. I want to know who threw the first punch. All right. You're all confined to quarters until I find out who started it. Dismissed.
That was close.
Me. Of all the people in the lineup, he asks me who threw the first punch.
And you lied to him.
I lied to Captain Kirk. I wish Keiko had been here to see it.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, little fellow. Who left you out here all alone?
He's not alone.
Welcome back, Mr. Darvin.
The pleasure is all mine.
Worf, hold on. I hope you realize you'll be facing some very serious charges when we get back.
You wouldn't dare put one of the greatest heroes of the Klingon Empire into the brig.
You are no hero to the Empire.
I will be. I've been thinking about my statue in the Hall of Warriors. I wanted to capture my essence. Our statues can be so generic sometimes, don't you think?
I take it whatever your plan is, you've already set it in motion.
I see myself standing with Kirk's head in one hand, and a Tribble in the other.
What have you done? Did you hire someone to kill him? Did you sabotage the Enterprise?
Nothing so mundane. Let's just say that Kirk's death will have a certain poetic justice to it.
You put a bomb in a Tribble?
It's his revenge. Originally, Kirk saw how a Tribble reacted to Darwin and realized he was a Klingon. He wouldn't tell us where this Tribble was, but he did say that it was set to go off within the hour.
So it could be anywhere.
Benjamin, I think we should risk going to the bridge. If we can use the internal sensors, we can scan the entire ship for explosive in a matter of seconds.
Well, Dax and I will take care of the Enterprise. The rest of you beam over to K7 and start searching over there.
Understood. But I think Mr. Worf should remain here. It seems he's allergic to Tribbles.
All right.
Captain, I'm not sure we can get to K7's internal sensors.
Then you will have to manually scan every Tribble on the station.
Must be thousands of them by now.
Hundreds of thousands.
1,771,561. That's starting with one Tribble with an average litter of 10 every 12 hours, and after 3 days.
Thank you. You have your orders, people. Cisco out.
Dr. McCoy, would you mind coming up to the bridge?
All right, I rerouted the sensor interface.
It worked. Scanning the bridge. Nothing up here.
That's a relief. When Kirk sat on that Tribble, I half expected it to go off.
And nothing on the first 6 decks.
Did you want to see me, Jim? Well, don't look at me. It's the Tribbles who are breeding.
I know him.
That must be McCoy, the ship's doctor.
McCoy.
Well, the nearest thing I can figure out is that they're born pregnant, which seems to be quite a time saver.
Leonard McCoy. I met him when he was a student at Ole Miss.
Who met him? Curzon?
No, my host at the time was Emily. She was on Earth judging a gymnastic competition. I had a feeling he'd become a doctor. He had the hands of a surgeon.
I scanned every deck. The bomb's not aboard the ship.
Then it must be somewhere on K7.
The bomb's not on the Enterprise. It must be over there.
Odo here.
The bomb's not on the Enterprise. It must be over there.
We're only been able to get through 2 decks. We're running out of time.
I can send more teams from the Defiant.
It's not a question of manpower. It's a question of multiplication. The Tribbles are breeding so fast that we can't keep up with them.
Benjamin, maybe we could narrow things down a little. Presumably, Darwin put the bomb somewhere he knows Kirk is going to be in the next half hour. So if we stick close to Kirk...
He might lead us right to it.
It's worth a try, but there's no reason for us to stop searching here.
We'll keep at it for now, Constable. Deck 5.
My chicken sandwich and coffee. This is my chicken sandwich and coffee. I want these things off the ship. I don't care if it takes every man we've got. I want them off the ship.
Aye, they're into the machinery all right. And they're probably in the other food processors too.
How?
Probably through one of the air vents.
Captain, there are vents of that type on the space station.
And in the storage compartments.
Storage compartments. Storage compartments.
Have them meet us near the storage compartments. We're beaming down.
Most of these are dead. The grain's poison.
I'm picking up a faint trickle bolt signature. The bomb's under here somewhere.
What's that?
It's not working, sir. It seems to be stuck.
Here, let me try.
Oh, God. Somebody's trying to open the bay door. Benjamin. It's right here in front of us.
They seem to be gorged.
Gorged? On my grain? Kirk, I'm going to hold you responsible. There must be thousands of them.
Hundreds of thousands.
1,771,561. That's assuming one Tribble multiplying with an average litter of 10 producing a new generation every 12 hours over a period of 3 days.
I found it. Cisco to Defiant.
Go ahead, Captain.
I found the bomb. Lock onto the tricorder signal and beam it into space.
Acknowledged. Geere to Cisco, it worked.
As captain, I want two things done. First, find Cyrano Jones, and second, close that door.
After the bomb was detonated, history continued uninterrupted, and thanks to the Tribbles, Kirk was able to uncover the truth about Darwin.
They don't like you, Mr. Darwin. I wonder why. Bones?
Jim, this man is the Klingon.
By the time we returned to the Defiant, Major Kira had discovered how to use the orb to bring us back to our time.
And that's when you return to the present?
Well, not exactly. Before we left, I realized there was one last thing I had to do. Something I've been thinking about ever since I saw the ship on the view screen. Excuse me, Captain. Here's tomorrow's duty roster for your approval.
Lieutenant? Lieutenant?
Benjamin Cisco, sir. I've been on temporary assignment here, but before I leave, I just want to say it's been an honor serving with you, sir.
All right, Lieutenant. Carry on.
Thank you, sir. Now, if you want to put a letter of reprimand in my file for that, then go right ahead.
Well, we'll have to review the case before making any recommendations.
However, I don't think there was any harm done. Probably would have done the same thing myself.
Glad to hear.
You'll be receiving our report in about a month. But based on what you've told us, I don't think you have anything to worry about.
I am glad to hear it.
Goodbye, Captain.
Goodbye.
Docking port 7.
It went well?
Good. The constable wants to see us on the promenade.
Oh my God.
Did you tell them?
They didn't ask. Well, I'm open to suggestions, people.
We could build another station.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Trials and Tribbleations. Woo! Let's give a huge round of applause to our cast, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! I'm going to go ahead and bring everybody back up onto our screen, and then we're going to introduce everyone. And for those of you at home, I know it probably looks a little bit different on your screen, but I'm going to go ahead and do it from left to right on mine. First of all, we got Bobby Watson, Tyler Bianchi. We got Anne Arreguin, Brett Gustafson, Stephen Alloway, Keith Cat Plair, Mike Barroga, Patrick McGrath, Jonathan Agurcia, Gianna Campbell, Lorenzo Marchessi, Andra Ward Jr., our general manager as well, Vincent Miller, and the lovely Mia Geere, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Folks, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We hope you guys had some fun, but our shenanigans aren't actually quite over. We're about to do a live Q&A, and we're going to talk about the show. So everybody go grab a drink. You guys all learn how to make fuzzy tribbles.
Are shenanigans ever over?
Never.
I feel like that, yeah.
Our shenanigans have not ended since the first day.
I have my drink.
Nope. Our shenanigans don't even stop long enough for them to consider it a new shenanigan.
Yeah.
We're continuing with the same shenanigans from 2006.
Are you saying shenanigans are like the tribbles? Because that's dangerous.
They multiply.
They are. Our shenanigans do multiply, and we have so much fun. And that's the thing about this particular show. Our triple double feature has been so much fun the last 2 nights. And I think even just the last couple weeks we've been rehearsing it. It's a different kind of production for us because this isn't one of our original scripts that we write or we read. We took 2 very popular episodes of Star Trek and just have fun geeking out. One of the things, hopefully you guys have gotten to see this. If not, we'll definitely include the link on our YouTube channel because this will be on YouTube within the next 24 hours. Just like last night's episode is, this will be on YouTube. And one of the great links we had is the entire cast and crew got to do an interview with Lorenzo from Geek Authority for Making Entertainment. You guys get to find out about some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we did. We talked about it, how everybody got to bring these iconic characters to life, and we had so much fun. But this really is, I think, one of the things you got to learn in that one is most of the group in here have seen Star Trek or have done it. I'll just let everybody who's watching in case we have anybody new tonight. And yes, folks, we are live on YouTube. So there is about a 10-second lag, but we are live. And we thank you guys for staying with us. So let's do a quick hand. Prior to our rehearsals or me talking to you guys about this project, who here has never really watched Star Trek or knew really anything about it? So we got Bobby, Jonathan, Lorenzo. How could you know? Andre, yeah. Now, would you guys say that you guys are definitely more interested in watching Star Trek now and kind of following up on the lore? I think
lore is Star Trek. I mean, the lore is next gen.
True, very true, very good reference.
The data says so.
It does. One of the cool things I think was Jonathan was saying that he's got some time off right now. He might start watching all this. He might binge all the episodes. And we discovered last night through our conversations that combined through all the Star Trek series, as of right now, including the 10 episodes of Short Trek, there are 797 episodes of Star Trek out there. Between the original series, Next Gen, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and the animated series. Plus, they got 2 new series coming out within the next year. Star Trek Prodigy, which will be on Nickelodeon, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which features the earliest adventures of the Enterprise under the command of Captain Pike. So it's one of the most amazing franchises in, I think, all sci-fi. It's right up there with Star Wars, but I think Star Trek's just there's something very special about Star Trek, where it's a message of hope. I think we can all agree on that. It's the same thing with another popular sci-fi show across the pond, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But there's this concept that humanity does make it and grows beyond itself that I think has always appealed to me for this. But enough about me talking. We got some love going on, so I want to share with you guys, just like we did last night, the love from the audience. You guys have been so great tonight. We got, let's see here, everybody's going woohoo. Michael says hi, everyone. Jen goes, Andre, woo, Gigi, woo, and they included hearts. on that one. Jenny Chun, thank you so much. She says, what an amazing cast. And they are an amazing cast. They have been absolutely wonderful. And it's been a pleasure always. And I tell them this all the time. It's a pleasure, a privilege, and an honor always getting to work with them. And they're so much fun. Let's see here. Dominic Espinoza watch, guys. We actually got Dominic to log on to Facebook, which is rare.
Are you friggin' serious?
Yeah. He wanted his mom's to watch it. Jen says, bravissimo. Mike Campbell, that was great. Josh said, triptacular. So thank you, Josh. Michael says, yay, great job. Kelly was woohoo, amazing, bravo. Jen, shenanigans. Yes, we are full of shenanigans. And when goes Vince? And
It's like something that the Swedish chef would say.
Guys, you guys are getting lots of love, and we thank you guys so much. So over to you guys. How I know we talked about this last night, but how did you guys feel? I'm first over to Andre, Ann, and Keith getting to play some of these iconic characters. Ann, what about you?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. It's so fun. Like, I remember my parents were fans of like Next Gen and Deep Space, so kind of getting to watch it with them was just really a fun experience, and getting to like play like someone like Dax, who is just freaking incredible and like so full of life and like heart and spirit, you know, and to live so many generations. That was just so much fun to kind of geek out a little bit with that.
Okay, cool. Andre, I know you've actually never really watched Star Trek before until we kind of talked a little about it, but playing Captain Siska, who is another one of these iconic characters, who is one of my personal favorites as well. Tell me about it. What was your thoughts?
Oh, so much pressure. So much pressure. But I really loved his Shakespearean voice, and then just trying to capture that with my portrayal was one of my like main objectives. But I mean, watching Star Trek, I watch a lot of anime, and it just felt like I was right at home. So, thank you.
Oh, cool. And then Keith, you had probably one of the most popular characters in all of Star Trek, who's not just part of one series, but was ended up being part of the second series as well, with Mr. Worf.
Yeah, I discovered that during my research not too long ago about Worf and his mannerisms and whatnot. And by the way, the bar fight scene is now officially my favorite scene in all of Star Trek. It's hilarious. But having not really watched Star Trek except for Voyager, but for now, I couldn't specifically tell you how I felt before, but now it's like, okay, now I don't know where I'm gonna start. I don't know if I'm gonna start with the original. I don't know if I'm gonna go to Deep Space Nine. I'm excited to watch them all, but yeah, it's just too much excitement. I couldn't put it into words.
Fair enough. I think with Star Trek, what's great about it, and I started with Next Generation. That was what was first introduced to me. And then I went back and watched the original series, and then Deep Space Nine. And I know there's a controversy. Some people, it's really weird, especially doing a lot of research. A lot of people are not necessarily a big fan of Deep Space Nine. There's some episodes that they love, but there's also the same group of people who don't like Voyager, but love Voyager, hate DS9, and back and forth. I love them all. I mean, I will say this: Deep Space Nine, I have a very special relationship with. I think it's one of those really interesting shows because it started off with the best. For those of you who are not familiar with Deep Space Nine, the biggest difference between Deep Space Nine and the original series and Next Generation was they were on a space station. They weren't on a ship that was traveling. They were in one area, and things were coming to them. And I think that was always some of the fun parts about who's coming in this week. Like it really is. It was like watching an old Western. Who's coming out to the promenade this week to start trouble? And that was really cool. But I want to ask this question. I didn't ask this question last night. For those of you who've never watched Star Trek before, you don't have to answer this one because obviously you may have not necessarily have this one. But for those of you who have, tell me, what's your favorite episode of Star Trek? It doesn't have to be the original series. It can be from any one of them. And it doesn't have to be Tribbles or Trials and Tribulations. But take a second and think about it. I'll start with mine. I will say mine is the Tribbles. Is probably my favorite episode. And right up there's also Best of Both Worlds. I think that one's from Next Generation is just fantastic. It's such an emotional one, especially the inner torment of Picard. It's so great. But Bobby, have you watched anything else since then? Or
I have not. I have not. No, I don't. I do not have much time these days with everything I'm doing right now. So, I actually had to sit down and watch these two, and I'm happy I did. But other than that, I've not had the time to go back and watch. I would like to, but I probably won't get around there until 2027. So who knows?
wow. Now, guys, though, if you guys do want to, I will talk about it a little bit more. He has something actually really cool in the works, so we'd like to talk about that a little bit tonight. Tyler, favorite episode?
I'm so terrible at episode names, but favorite episode of Star Trek, all of Star Trek. Ooh. I wish I'd studied this answer or this question before we started. I'm gonna have to go like series by series, if you don't mind. I guess favorite of the original series might be Space Seed, where we introduce Khan, and that's a very good episode. And I especially love the scene with I think I talked about this with the when we did the interview with Geek Authority, where the Khan has a knife to Dr. McCoy's throat, and McCoy just basically just go ahead and try it, see what happens. So then Next Gen, I love pretty much any Data episode. Any episode that revolves around Data and his kind of quest to learn what it means to be human, and really, really good episode. Oh, you know what it's called? It's called Measure of a Man.
Yes.
And it was and that's basically Starfleet puts him on trial and tries to determine if is human or not, or like a sentient being. Like, is he a member of Starfleet, or is he just a thing that they can just take control of? And the whole thing boiled down to Picard, this grand speech about, we're looking for new life. That's new life. He's our friend. He's essential to us. Just I really love that. Deep Space Nine. There's so much. Deep Space Nine might be my favorite series because it's the character work in DS9 is so much more. It just pops for me so much more because like in Next Gen, everybody's kind of like the same character almost. I mean, they have their different quirks, but they're all very intelligent and compassionate people. DS9, there's you got Starfleet people, then you got Major Kira, who is very brash and tough, and then and Odo, of course. Oh God, I'm going down way deep down into a rabbit hole with this one. Come back to me. Back to
that one. And
oh gosh. Like, and I will agree with Tyler. Like, I'm kind of like the same, like episode names. Like, I'm terrible at episode names, like truthfully, especially. But I remember like loving like Dr. Crusher so much as a kid, and seeing someone who was, especially a female on television, being like and someone in medicine, and someone who was smart and compassionate. And also as a kid, I remember seeing this when I was younger, when they like with the transporter, and like they turn back to children. I know it's not the greatest one, but as a kid, when you get to see other kids in Star Trek, it was like, oh, that's cool. This could still be like, you find like you want to see that somebody you can relate to. And so I know for me that was kind of really fun to see. So definitely like, yeah, Dr. Crusher and seeing like kids on there was really awesome.
Cool. Brett.
See, it's a tough one because there's so many cool ones over the years, but a memorable one was in the original season with the flowers that spray their seeds, and it kind of like it peacefully like brainwashes you to want to be on this planet where you just kind of like give up and just enjoy life. It's very interesting, very like reminds me like the Twilight Zone, and then they eventually break free of that. I forget the name of it, but I also really like the Borgs, their whole involvement. That was really cool. Like, yeah, I always thought they were like really spooky looking, and like love the makeup jobs that are always done on these characters throughout the whole series. So,
Mr. Alloway.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Next Gen fan. It's hard to pick one. I'm also a fan of the Data episodes. I like Descent, the one where he grapples with emotions, and the Borg are also grappling with emotions, and then Laura's in charge of the Borg. I like that whole thing. I also like The Offspring, the one with Data's daughter. It's a really it goes overlooked,
God, yes.
but it's a really emotional episode, and I really like it. It's really cool.
Cool. Mr. Barroga.
Yeah, I was trying to think back because it's been so long since I visited the series, but one that definitely popped in my mind was there was an episode in Next Gen. Again, I don't remember the title of it, but Picard and another alien, they get trapped down on a planet, and they don't understand each other.
Darmok.
What's it called?
Darmok.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And the guys, the alien, he figures out the alien kind of speaks in metaphor, and at first he's afraid that the alien's going to try and kill him, and then he realizes the alien's asking him for help to defeat another evil presence on the planet. And yeah, I always thought that was a interesting episode. And in Deep Space Nine, I remember an episode where this alien race, they come onto the station, and they want to they're a lover of games, and they want to go to Quarks and introduce this game. As it turns out, they have crew members within the game, and if Quark loses the game, the crew members will die. And yeah, so it's great science fiction episodes there.
Patrick.
Okay, so speaking honestly, I am a fan of the Star Trek movies. I'm more or less unfamiliar with specific episodes of the TV show. So I can say that my three favorite Star Trek movies, I've seen all of them multiple times. I really enjoy Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. And I also enjoy First Contact. And I think that Star Trek Beyond is the best of those three J.J. Abrams movies that came out.
I agree. That was my personal favorite.
Cool, yeah. Undiscovered Country, my parents took me to see in a movie theater, and so that was my first direct exposure to Star Trek, and I've since revisited the movie, and I'm glad to say it still holds up for me. And one big shout out, like one of my favorite Star Trek things ever is the music, is Jerry Goldsmith's music that he wrote for Star Trek Motion Picture, specifically Alias theme, right? That's the character's name, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's beautiful melody. I love it. The prologue of the movie, which is her theme played in full, and then it launches into that new theme that he wrote, which became the Next Generation theme too. Wonderful. But Alias theme is magical and imaginative and evocative to me. I love it.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on that, interesting little bit of trivia, Michael Dorn, who plays Worf in both Next Generation Deep Space Nine, played his grandfather in that movie.
Yeah.
Worf in that one. So,
Jonathan, predecessor of Worf himself.
Jonathan, have you watched any other Star Trek since you started doing this project?
So I know several years ago, I don't remember if I was in middle school or high school. My sister had a really huge crush on Chris Pine, so we actually took her to see the first two Star Trek movies that came out. the newer ones. So I know I've seen those. Could not tell you really anything about them because it's been that long. So my best answer is going to be ask me again in like, I don't know, 6 weeks when I get through everything.
All 700 in 6 weeks. Gianna.
Yes.
Favorite episode?
Well, there's just so many. My favorite of the original is Balance of Terror. It's our first look at the Romulans. It's our first look at Mark Leonard. Just an amazing episode based on an old submarine movie called Run Silent, Run Deep. For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky. Another great episode in the original. Next Gen, wow. There's just so many. One of my favorites, and it's probably one of the hardest, it was the hardest for me to watch, was Skin of Evil, when Tasha died. Just, wow. You talk about just coming out of nowhere. Talk about keeping secrets. They kept that so under wraps. And then boom, she was dead. Pretty much everything involving the Klingons, the Klingon Empire, the wars, the Duras sisters, who, by the way, if you're available, please give me a call. Everything DS9. I love the fact that it was just, I mean, there wasn't a happy ending on every episode. It was very dark. It was very gritty. And I just love that whole, the hotel in space, and like they were saying, it's like who comes in this week to mess things up? Voyager, okay.
There's so much.
I love,
There's so much Trek to watch, and so it's so great.
Yeah, I mean, Picard, I loved the music, but the one of the another ones, and I can't remember the name of it, was with Picard's flute.
Inner Light.
Relic.
Yes. My
Inner
God.
Light, yeah.
The music they play in the chamber with him on the flute and her on the piano. I looked for that piece forever, and it's one of the hardest pieces of music to find.
It's such a great episode. All that. Lorenzo. Now this is the long one.
I'll keep it short.
Try to top me. I didn't even finish.
Well, I'll just keep it short, the two series. Just so you know, the episode, Brett, you were talking about is This Side of Paradise. And it's Ilea is the name of the musical piece. And by the way, a little bit of trivia about the Ilea piece that comes before the Star Trek The Motion Picture. It was the last time they had a prelude at a theatrical film where you just hear music, black screen, before they go into the rolling of the actual movie. And the last time before that was the Ten Commandments. So it was that long since they had an overture that just played with a black screen. So never done since. Favorite episodes, City on the Edge of Forever, written by a famous sci-fi writer, Harlan Ellison. It was Joan Collins' screen debut in America, for everyone who doesn't know. My second favorite is a thing called Amok Time, where basically Spock gets horny every 7 years and has to do his duty without killing Kirk, hopefully. When it comes to DS9, I really enjoyed the first couple seasons. And one of my favorite episodes it's called Far Beyond the Stars. And basically it's kind of a retrospective of the 30s and 40s of how Afro-Americans were being treated during people that were writers, people that were publishers. And the entire cast goes without makeup in characters in this kind of place that publishes books and comics and things like that, sci-fi stuff. And it was a really well done story. It touched on racism and equality and women's rights and things. But it was all done in the past with all the characters out of makeup. So everybody was playing a different person. So those kind of things where actors get to stretch are my kind of favorite shows. And one comment I want to make about Star Trek VI. It is a little timely because there is a comment about Richard Nixon in it that I don't think anybody would get now. And I'm dating myself, so.
About him going to China, right?
I don't think anybody will get that, but that's just me. That's it.
Cool. Andre, have you watched anything else since this?
I really liked the episode.
That's an excellent answer.
Yeah, I really liked the episode. I was like, oh, okay, I like it. I watched it twice.
Okay, we got his answer. We got that one. Mia.
I'm gonna ditto what Andre said. Yeah, I like this episode. And I did go back and watch some more of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing through. But yeah.
That's fair. That's a good answer. Keith Cat.
Okay, so I'm gonna cheat just a little bit, and I'm gonna actually slightly derail the question and give you my favorite characters of each series, because I haven't watched enough Trek to honestly give you what my favorite episode is, let alone one in each series. You guys are so far advanced in that. But anyway, so my favorite character in the original is Spock. He is my favorite one. It's just something. It's not even the way he looks. It's his intellect is what gets me every time.
Mm-hmm.
Going along with intellect for the next generation is gonna be Data. I like Picard. I just like Data more. I like his personality in the episodes that I do remember seeing. For Deep Space Nine, it's gonna have to be Worf. I've warmed up to him, and I look forward to watching more with him involved. Hopefully, not being allergic to a Tribble. Hopefully, that still unnerves me. I love furry things, and here I am not liking furry things, but anyway. And for Voyager, it's 7 of 9. It's definitely 7 of 9. I couldn't tell you anything about the captain. I could, after watching a few episodes again, tell you everything about 7 of 9. Just its personality. It's the personality of each of these characters that I'm attracted to more so than the way they look, or more so than the way they act, I should say. Like, the people acting them are great, but the characters that they're portraying is what I like the most.
And Vince.
Well, Mike Barroga kind of stole one of my answers, because Darmok is probably tied for my second favorite, at least in Next Gen. Overall, I'm not certain what my favorite episode is overall. My other favorite episode for Next Gen is Chain of Command, where Picard is kidnapped or kidnapped by the Cardassians, and they try to brainwash him and torture him. That's a fantastic 2-part episode. Mm-hmm. And it especially gets me at the end of the second part. Spoilers! At the end of part 2, when Picard gets back and Beverly's talking to him about it, he's relating that he could actually start to see, because one thing that they were trying to do to break him was telling him, how many lights do you see? There are 4 lights behind him, but they're trying to force him to say and recognize that there are 5. They're trying to convince him that what he sees is wrong. And he confides in Beverly Crusher that he was actually starting to see 5 lights. And confides that it was breaking him. And if he wasn't rescued shortly after that, there's a very real possibility he could have been brainwashed. Mm. It's just so raw.
It is. It's probably one of those most intense scenes. Just him that last like goes, there are 4 lights. It's just such a powerful scene. And that kind of brings me to this point here, which is, look at us. There's 15 people on the screen right now. We have people watching, and just to see, how look how much Star Trek has had influence on all of us, whether we're fans or as a kid or as an adult. Just this one franchise really did, and people who have never seen the show before are definitely now interested and want to know more. Or, had fun doing it. It's a lot of people are. I've mentioned this before. People who've never seen any kind of Star Trek before always assume it's just a bunch of technobabble, but it's really not. It's so much more than that. Star Trek is that thing, like I talked about. It's hope. For those who don't know, back in December, I got a nice little visit from a certain virus that's taking over the world, and I was down for about a month, and so one of the things that kind of made me feel better was just I watched Star Trek, and it was one of those things that kind of does help you kind of forget about little things, because there is this vision of hope. There's episodes that are funny. There's thought-provoking episodes. If you guys look at some of the stuff with Star Trek now, there's certain episodes you couldn't play today that would not necessarily do well with certain audiences. And there is an episode, I mentioned of Deep Space Nine with Quark, where it's just so fast for him to switch genders on a dime like that. I don't know how that would be received by an audience in today's age versus, when it was first aired. But just look at the stuff that they talked about back then. Even going to the original series where you had, races, you had one race where one side of the face is black, one side is white, and they're at war with another race because their faces are just completely opposite in color. It's just they touched on these topics back then, and it's just there's just something special about Star Trek because of this. And to me it's special, and I thank you guys for rocking out with your Spocks out and having fun with this. But let me ask this question to everybody: did you guys have fun? That's the big thing for this cast.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Would you
Definitely.
Would you guys want to revisit maybe Next Generation, or what? Okay,
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I think people would.
I would.
If you twisted my arm,
probably-
then sure. Here.
I'm in.
I think I'll watch the episode before we just clue me in on what episode, because Next Generation has too many episodes, and if you expect me to sit from episode 1 to episode infinity, we'll get lost. So
we'll figure that out. But
I mean, it's worth the journey.
It really
It
is.
is.
Next Generation, it is. They are, dude. So just watch it.
Well, to Peggy on that, in that case, when you call me to do this again, I'll be in the middle of an episode and I won't be able to give you an answer. So I'll just say it is your fault.
That's fine. I'll take responsibility for that. No, but here's the thing, guys. We've had so much fun doing this weekend, and I think the rehearsals were so much fun. We got such great feedback from the audience and from you guys that guess what? We are going to be doing these readings of popular TV shows a couple more times this year.
Cool.
And I kind of hinted this with this cast, so we're going to actually officially announce it now. We are going to be doing this again in May. We'll be reading a couple episodes from another TV series. We're going to go jump across the pond and do some stuff from Doctor Who. So we might be doing I'll tell you guys now, we're doing at least 2-3 nights of Doctor Who episodes in May. We might do a 3-night event, one of which will be is probably considered to be the most popular episode of the David Tennant era, Blink.
Yes.
So we will be doing that one. Another request I got was from people who love Donna Noble, as she's considered to be one of the most popular companions. So we might be doing a Donna Noble episode. But I'm also going to pose this one to people. If you guys are a big Doctor Who fan, and I just want to kind of say within the David Tennant, Matt Smith era, not because I don't love Peter Capaldi, I love Peter Capaldi, but I think David Tennant is really special, and his era is really special. If you have a fan favorite episode, message us. You can find us on Worst Ever Productions. You can hit us on our message link. Tell us what your favorite episode is. We'll take a couple of them, and then we're going to do a vote. And that will be one of the episodes we're going to read. So this is kind of like a fan audience participation. So you guys, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Guys, just message us. We'll take a couple of the episodes and we'll have a vote and see which one we do. So, and that'll be in May. Also, the other thing we're so excited to announce is that in June, we're bringing back for our next actual theater production is Fandemonium. plays about fandoms. These are going to be live performed shows where the writers are going to write plays about their favorite fandoms. We got Star Trek, we got Star Wars in there. We got a couple other fandoms, so this will be some really cool, fun surprises there. Also in June, we're bringing Controlled Chaos, which we talked about a little bit last night. That is going to be a 100-hour film project that we do. So we kind of some more information will be coming that down the pipelines. So folks, please stick around with Worst Ever Productions. You can find us on our social media handle is the same for everything, at Worst Ever Prods. Cool. The other thing is, folks, as always, if you guys had fun tonight and you're feeling generous and you're in a position to do so, we know times are tough. But folks, if you'd like to donate anything to Worst Ever Productions, we have a Venmo, we have a PayPal. And we always appreciate anything. It goes right back into the theater company to bring you some fun shows because we have some amazing stuff coming up in 2022 when it is safe to do so, including one of our personal favorite projects that we've been working on called Monstrosity. It is a really cool project. We've been doing some readings for it, and it's something that we've been working on. Without going into detail, it's been a project that's been over a year in the making. It was originally supposed to be the project for 2020 before everything shut down, and we're getting ready to do it. Hopefully, we're a live audience, and that's the thing, folks. I know people have been asking when we're doing a live show, when it's safe to do so. Your safety, the safety of the cast and crew, is the most important thing to me, and that's what I care most about is you guys. These people are my friends and family. I love them. I will not do anything to jeopardize them and put them in danger. But like I said, folks, if you are feeling, generous and do so, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I know you guys are about to see the inner workings of Andy Schultz's screen. Ooh. We're going to do it, guys. Here we go. We're going to share. And I'm going to minimize Facebook. And where's the thing here? It's here somewhere. Yes, guys, this is how we do our fun. For those who didn't see, this is how we do our sound effects for the shows. And it's here somewhere. Where are you? Here it is. Bring that up. Give it just a second here. And yeah, folks, like right here, we have Venmo at Worst Ever Prods or PayPal, paypal.me/Worst Ever Prods. Every dollar goes right back into Worst Ever Productions. It goes to help pay for, if we're doing film stuff, props, costumes, things like that. And then if we do get back into the real world, it helps pay for the rent and stuff. And we've had so much fun, and we will continue to bring you guys this stuff. And here's the thing, guys, if you can't donate, that is absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. We will care more about you guys just having fun and joining us and sharing the love. So with that being said, folks, thank you so much. And folks, I think that's just about it for us for this evening. We thank you guys so very much. We hope you guys tune in again. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. And I'm going to have the cast stick around for a few minutes. We can, have a little bit of a celebration. Maybe get some fuzzy tribbles into us. But we thank you guys once again. In the words of the iconic Mr. Spock, live long and prosper. Have a great evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.